Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 8th Oecs Council of Ministers of Tourism meeting in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We're about to begin this morning, and to do that, we'll begin with the national anthem of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, which will be done by Mrs. Ulrika Games Trill. She'll do two versions, in Garifuna and English. And I'll ask you to remain standing also for the invocation, which will be done by Reverend Afisha Millet, Methodist minister. Please stand.
Briti Binafi, good morning. Yurume malupuidu ruwamuti wabagariku afienti wabuaku wagerambu bagwa Kabalanuga haruga wawaseruba lawiseni wabadinagwa launubafu agureme yurume malubuidu iyuti harumati biwubu wagera losung di sewama we sebari wagera le kabalanuga haruga wawaseruba lawiseni wabadinagwa launubafu agureme sung ubo ulida wagera ondara wamalida iseni luagu barana luagu beya magumo chube legeme chue kabalanuga haruga wawaseruba lawiseni wabadinagwa launubafu agureme Saint Vincent, land so beautiful, with joyful hearts we pledge to thee our loyalty and love and vow to keep you ever free. Whatever the future brings, our faith will see us through. May peace reign from shore to shore, and God bless and keep us true. Saint Vincent, land so beautiful, with joyful hearts we pledge to thee a home to me, though I may stray a heaven come serene. Whatever the future brings, our faith will see us through. May peace reign from shore to shore, and God bless and keep us true. Our little sister islands are those gems, the lovely grenadines upon their seas, and golden sun, the sunshine ever beams. Whate'er the future brings, our faith will see us through. May peace reign from shore to shore, and God bless and keep us through. Sarah, ma'am? Thank you.
Please bow your heads with me, and let us spend a moment in quiet as we reverence the presence of the Almighty God with us. O Lord, our Lord, how majestic and holy is your name in all the earth. Creator, Redeemer, and Sustainer, we see your glory and splendor in the beauty of these islands that we call home. We praise you and thank you for your power and love in forming and sustaining our world, particularly our Caribbean region. We bless you for your wisdom in gifting the people of this region with the skills, talents, resilience, and cooperation needed to cultivate healthy relationships through which we can diligently work for sustainable tourism sectors through which your will could come to fruition for all people. Heavenly Father, we thank you for your guidance and blessing in the planning of this 8th OECS Council of Ministers of Tourism and the safe travel of all the delegates. We humbly ask you to bless their time together with your presence. May your gracious presence among the delegates of the Council be evident in peaceful, wise, and insightful deliberations, unified decisions, and stronger regional bonds. So, loving God, we commit this day's proceedings into your careful hands and thank you for hearing and answering our prayers to the glory of your name, through your Son, Jesus Christ, our Lord. And together we say, Amen. Thank you very much, Reverend. Please be seated. Minister of Tourism, Creative Economy and Culture of Grenada, and Chairman of the OECS Council of Ministers, Senator the Honorable Adrian Thomas. Minister for Tourism, International Transport and Maritime Initiatives, the Commonwealth of Dominica, the Honorable Denise Charles Pemberton. Minister for Tourism, Civil Aviation and Urban Development, St. Kitts and Nevis, the Honorable Marcia Henderson. Minister of Tourism, Civil Aviation, Sustainable Development and Culture of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Honorable Carlos James. Junior Minister for Tourism for the British Virgin Islands, the Honorable Luce Hodge-Smith. Minister for Health, Sports and Tourism of Anguilla, the Honorable Cardigan Connor. Commissioner Benedicte Geronimo, Commissioner of Tourism, Martinique. Parliamentary Secretary, Ministry of Tourism, Investment, Creative Industries, Culture and Information, St. Lucia, Senator Goupion Ferdinand. Cabinet Ministers of the Government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, members of the Diplomatic Corps. Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Tourism, Civil Aviation, Sustainable Development and Culture, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Dr. Tamira Brown. Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Tourism, the Creative Economy and Culture, Grenada, Ms. Desiree Stephen. His Excellency Dr. Didacus Jules, Director General of the OECS. His Excellency Alan Alexander, OECS Commissioner to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Other government officials and heads of units of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Chairperson of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Tourism Authority, Directors of Board, and Ms. Annette Mark, CEO. Mrs. Faylene Findlay King, Director of Tourism, Ministry of Tourism, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. President of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Hotel and Tourism Association. Mr. Joel Richards, Officer in Charge, Economic Affairs and Regional Integration Division, OECS. Staff of the OECS Commission, reigning Ms. SVG Zeta Stevens, representatives of the media, ladies and gentlemen, those following on radio and television in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and across the OECS. Good morning, honorable ministers, excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the gem of the Antilles. I consider it an honor on behalf of the government and people to welcome you to the most picturesque country in the Caribbean, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and in particular to the 8th Organization of Eastern Caribbean States Council of Ministers of Tourism meeting at Beachmont. That should be at Beachcombers Hotel. Vincentians are just about the warmest and friendliest people you'll find on this planet, and we look forward to your short stay here with us. So let us, in true Vinci style, put our hands together in appreciation of all our distinguished guests. Thank you. Our first speaker is best positioned to welcome you not only to the 8th OECS Council of Ministers of Tourism meeting, but also to the Gem of the Antilles, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. He was recently awarded Tourism Minister of the Year, Sustainable Tourism, at the ITB Berlin Trade Fair in Germany for excellence in governance, sustainable tourism. Please welcome you officially, the Honorable Minister of Tourism, Civil Aviation, Sustainable Development and Culture in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Honorable Carlos James.
Thank you very much, Dion. Let me acknowledge the Chair of the Council of Ministers of Tourism of the OECS, my good friend and brother, Minister Adrian Thomas, other colleague ministers of the OECS, Director General of the OECS who's here with us, Didacus Jules, other technical persons who are here working with us from our respective ministries and also from the OECS Commission, members of the Diplomatic Corps, ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct honor to welcome each and every one of you to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I have the honor and privilege of outlining briefly the scope and nature of this meeting and how we as a region and as a bloc can position ourselves to take advantage of the numerous opportunities that are now aligning for ourselves within tourism, within trade and services. Our islands are uniquely positioned within the Eastern Caribbean bloc. As I mentioned last night to my colleague ministers, I think the most beautiful archipelago of islands within the Caribbean Sea undoubtedly is within the Eastern Caribbean. We have as our greatest asset our people, the warmth of our islanders, the unique blend of culture and tradition, and how we greet each other as friends, as families, and colleagues when we visit an island hop among the territories. When I'm in St. Kitts with Minister Henderson, I feel as if I am in Kingston. And when I'm in Grenada, I feel as if I am in Dominica or St. Lucia. Our personalities, our cultural heritage, the way in which we integrate as a region and as a bloc is by far the greatest thing that we can own as a regional bloc in terms of how we position ourselves in the global space, geopolitically, economically, and otherwise. We are rich in biodiversity. The islands, just visiting them, they tell their own unique stories. In fact, my many trips abroad and traveling, promoting St. Vincent and the Grenadines, I often say, our islands, the island itself, it has a soul. It's as if it's a living, breathing organism. The pulse of the rhythms of our drums, the food that we taste, the music that we write from our creative sectors and in the industry. The plants, the flora and fauna, the many animals that are indigenous to many of our islands, they all tell a fascinating story. And most importantly, when you crystallize everything that I've just expressed, what you see coming out is naturally the resilience of not just our space, but also our people. I make these comments on the backdrop of what we are seeing as very unprecedented times within our geopolitical space. The world as we know it is changing and will continue to change. Politically, trade, our economies are likely to be affected. And the most important thing we can do as a regional bloc. The DG has been at the forefront, setting the pace for many years as a crusader, speaking about regional integration, free movement of people, the level of cooperation that we need to have. Now in this particular period, what we're seeing taking place globally, from what is happening in the US and Canada, Ukraine and Russia, Cuba, Venezuela, China, Taiwan, in the Middle East. The few months and years ahead are going to be very different, uniquely challenging, marred with the complexity of circumstances which are not ours. We are not the architects of these unique circumstances that are going to adversely affect us. But what we have to do now, in this moment and in this time, is to find the opportunities to have greater level of integration in trade, in sharing our space, both our seascape and landscape, collaborating like never before in many areas, including tourism. And there's a thing called domestic tourism, but also there's something called regional tourism. And that is where free movement and goods and services and people. And this has been the catalyst in what we have established at the Oecs as a regional bloc. We see it on paper. We see it in our agreements that we have signed on to and ascribed to. But many of us, we talk the talk. But it is now time more than ever for us to put everything that we have done on paper, in our treaties, in our policy frameworks regionally, to action them. Because what is ahead of us, the circumstances which are not of our own, will certainly determine whether or not our survival as a region and as a bloc is something that we have to collectively look at. And I want to use this opportunity and within this meeting of the Council of Ministers of Tourism to underscore that important point that now more than ever, our regional bloc must begin the exercise of really initiating everything that the Commission has been working tirelessly year on year to actualize, to really put into focus the work of all of our respective member territories. We have to work closely with our regional airlines to have a more smooth and easier way of access and having people move across the region. We have to ensure that some of our policies and even our legislative framework are designed to allow for a better and easier way of doing business. So it's not about our bloc competing against each other, but collectively working in our interests as a region and as a bloc. And the work that we continue to do, and our heads of government, the Commission, the Currency Union, what we continue to do, you're going to see how important that is within the next coming months and years. I would like for us to take a greater level of focus on what integration means for us as a region. As I say, we talk a lot about it. We've put a legislative framework in place to accommodate the movement of people, services, goods. But it is time now more than ever for our region to work together to address a number of the challenging and expected challenging geopolitical issues that we anticipate is ahead of us. I think this meeting, and in fact the meeting this week, the Ministers of Economic Affairs and this Ministers of Tourism meeting are perhaps two of the most important sessions of our regional bloc, the OECS, in setting the framework, how we respond to the possible fall off, and as a small region, a small island developing states with our vulnerabilities, how do we cushion and how do we deal with setting the platform for moving forward in terms of navigating this geopolitical space. Tourism is one of our largest drivers in terms of economic growth within our space. Undoubtedly, it is going to play an important role in how our region and our bloc advance itself and transform itself to the circumstances that are ahead of us. I conclude by asking each respective minister and representatives of our member states and territories to use every available opportunity we have now in this session to drive the process of integration and cooperation and working together even greater than we have seen before. Our people and our region is asking for this level of support, cooperation, and integration. And now more than ever, it is time for us to deliver that to our region and our people. I wish all of you the very best, and I'm hoping for a successful conclusion of today's session at the 8th Council of Ministers of Tourism meeting of the OECS. Thank you very much, and God bless.
Thank you very much, Minister. Our next presentation is a cultural performance by an exceptional young man. Engineering and music are his passions. In fact, he's a highly trained and skilled musician with over 15 years' experience in the music industry. Now, when you see him, that would be another debate, because how could he have 15 years' experience? But you'll see that when he comes to perform. He has completed multiple associated Board of Royal Schools of Music examinations in piano and has received several awards for his achievement in music, in particular, the steel pan. Please welcome, to do a medley on steel pan, Cultural Ambassador Saeed Bowman. suppose another time, another place, we're going to say, pull up, selector. Our very own cultural ambassador, Saeed Bowman, playing Razum Shallows, Perseverance, and Chronics 2012, Ain't No Giving Up. Amidst the backdrop of which this meeting is being held, I think his performance and the selections today were timely and on spot. Thank you again, Saeed. Okay. Now, today's meeting, the Council of Ministers of Tourism meeting, will feature key presentations, policy discussions, and the exploration of innovative approaches to regional tourism development, encompassing the broader mission of the OECS to strengthen economic integration and cooperation among member states. Ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to invite His Excellency Dr. Didicus Jules, Director General of the OECS, to now deliver the opening remarks.
Our gracious host, Minister Carlos James, Minister Adrian Thomas, distinguished ministers, permanent secretaries, directors of tourism, members of the diplomatic corps if they are here, industry representatives, colleagues of the OECS Commission, media, ladies and gentlemen. Before I give my remarks, I was deeply moved by the rendition of the national anthem in what I assume to have been the Garifuna language, no? Yeah, Garifuna language. And moved to the extent that I quickly did some research, because one of my favorite writers, Wilson Harris of Guyana, is a writer who's very dense, but he speaks a lot to the ancestral voice and the resonance of the past and the present. And I want to read this quote to you. It says, "To hear the ancestral voice is to listen beyond the grave, to attend to what has been silenced, not as nostalgia, but as a radical act of revisioning the present." Now put that rendition in this context. The voice of the original peoples of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, who stand out in our Caribbean history as being an undefeated indigenous force of resistance to colonialism, helps to revive the spirit of rebellion and resilience. Connecting the ancestral spirit with the present is to affirm our sovereignty and our independence. And in the context of what Minister James said this morning about the threats facing us, you see the importance of this. So big up to you for what has been done. So tourism, as all of us here well know, is not just an economic activity. It is our lifeblood. For some of our member states, tourism accounts for nearly 40% of the GDP. It drives employment, it supports livelihoods, it showcases the beauty, the culture, and the resilience of our people. Yet the challenges we face today especially are significant. Ladies and gentlemen, the Caribbean tourism sector in 2025, as you've heard from Minister James, is navigating a landscape marked by complexity and uncertainty. Several forces, climate change, geopolitical instability, technological disruption, and evolving traveler preferences are reshaping our environment. These forces demand not only bold leadership, but also a united commitment to reimagine the future of tourism in our region. One of the most pressing issues, as we are aware, is climate change. We remain one of the most climate vulnerable regions of the world. Hurricanes, rising sea levels, coral bleaching directly threaten our beaches, marine ecosystems, and tourism infrastructure. The devastating effects of these phenomena on our economies are undeniable. For instance, the cost of damages from hurricanes has escalated in recent times. Just think last year, what happened in the Grenadines and Beckwith, Carriacou, etc. the cost of damages has escalated, sometimes exceeding entire national GDPs. And in many ways, it's good that we are having this meeting here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, because if we do a catalogue of climatic catastrophe, St. Vincent has been the most severely hit. Remember the volcanic eruption, evacuation of people from the north to the south. No sooner did that evacuation, floods in the south, then hurricanes, etc. So that is why our work on the OECS Climate Action Plan for Tourism is so critical. The plan provides a roadmap for climate-resilient tourism. It includes strategies to mitigate risk, adapt to changing conditions, and embrace renewable energy solutions. I urge all of us to accelerate the completion of this plan, aiming for endorsement and ultimately its launch at COP30 later this year in Brazil. This will position the Caribbean not just as a victim of climate change, but as a leader in climate-smart tourism. Another key challenge is the rise of mega cruise ships. In fact, I just learned 2 weeks ago that 2 of the major cruise lines are building ships with a capacity for 10,000 passengers. 10,000 passengers. You imagine the impact of that, one of these ships landing on our shores, but that's another story. So while these floating cities, while impressive, they present both opportunities and risk. On the one hand, they bring thousands of visitors to our shores, providing a much-needed boost to visitor arrivals. But that is visitor arrivals, that's statistics. But our visitor arrivals are only one side of the equation. Is the increase in arrivals resulting in commensurate increase in average visitor spend? On the risk side, they propose significant challenges. Environmental impact. The large-scale waste and pollution generated by these ships strain our marine ecosystems. Coral reefs, which are already under threat, face additional pressures from anchoring and increased marine traffic. I have noticed in a couple of the member states when several of these ships are in port, because of the inadequacy of some of the harbors meant to contain all of them, they now anchor in pristine areas of the coast. Then there's the issue of infrastructure overload. Small ports, villages, towns, and visitor attractions can be overwhelmed by the influx of passengers, resulting in congestion, the overexploitation of the resource. For example, the sulfur baths in St. Lucia and Dominica, and ultimately a diminished visitor experience. Then there's the issue of economic leakage. Perhaps most concerning is the fact that much of the revenue generated by cruise tourism does not remain in the region. Passengers often spend minimal amounts locally, while the bulk of profits are retained by the cruise lines. And I have been on cruises in the region. I can tell you that as a passenger, what you are offered as onshore experiences, the cost of that is a huge multiplier on what the local tour operators are receiving. Now I'm saying all of this, let's be clear, not to criticize cruise tourism, but to say that the scale and volume that this thing is developing right now, if we do not take some very clear strategic positions, we will lose control of that industry and we'll just be bus stops or sea stops along the way for the cheapest visitor experience with us getting minimal returns. So we must strike a delicate balance between sustainability and expansion. This means implementing policies that encourage cruise operators to adopt greener practices. With the Ministers of Environment, we just had discussions on a ship-shore initiative that will have the cruise lines turn off their diesel engines while in port and switch to renewable sources or greener sources of energy, which would benefit our local economy, but also avoid the extra carbon generated by these ships. 3 of these cruise ships in our harbors, in the smallest OECS territories, put more carbon into our environment than the entire island does in 3 months. So, and these are, there are studies that attest to that. So, adopting greener practices, more environmentally sustainable management of attractions, and investing in port infrastructure will help minimize environmental harm. Additionally, we must explore how to maximize the flow of tourism dollars to local communities. Initiatives like community-based tourism, which several of our member states are aggressively pushing now, and agri-tourism are excellent ventures for achieving this. We have an important tool at our disposal, the OECS Sustainable Tourism Policy. This comprehensive policy, validated by member states, provides a framework for addressing many of the challenges that we face. But a policy is only as good as its implementation. The real work begins now. We need actionable programs that will bring this vision to life. For example, the policy emphasizes the development of niche tourism markets, including heritage tourism and ecotourism. These areas not only diversify our tourism product, but also appeal to environmentally and culturally conscious travelers, which is a growing segment of the market. The endorsement of this policy at our proposed in-person meeting, I urge all of us to commit to this effort and ensure that the necessary actions are rolled out efficiently. Now, in light of what Minister James said to us this morning, I'm thinking that, again, even that plan, which was developed over a period of time, needs some degree of revisiting. Because on a weekly basis now, the volatility that he spoke about in the geopolitics, in the economics, in the relations with our neighbors, in our what is happening in our source markets, require careful thinking, really careful and strategic revisiting. So tourism does not operate in isolation. Its success is deeply intertwined with other sectors, and collaboration is key. In agriculture, by linking agriculture and tourism, we can create unique culinary experiences that showcase local produce while supporting our farmers. Agri-tourism has been a success in countries like Costa Rica and Italy, and we can adapt these models to our own context. In health, public health remains a cornerstone of tourism. Renewing the MOU that we have with CAFA will ensure that we are prepared to manage health threats while maintaining visitor confidence. Education, our people are our greatest asset. Investing in skills training, particularly in hospitality and tourism management, will ensure we remain competitive. Our community colleges, schools of hospitality and culinary arts, for example, can offer innovative and unique culinary experiences for visitors celebrating local foods. So imagine a cruise ship in the harbor in St. Kitts, rather than just tourists walking around town, spending nothing, can be brought to the community college, to their School of Hospitality Studies, just as there is in St. Lucia at Sir Arthur Lewis Community College. I think for a period of 3 months in the year, they offer meals in a restaurant owned by the college, cooked by the students, and experimenting, creating new dishes, new culinary experiences with all local food. Now, that would be an experience that visitors would treasure. So, as we look to the future, innovation and sustainability must be at the heart of our strategy. Projects such as the biometrics proposal and the shore power energy initiative that I spoke about earlier demonstrate how technology can enhance efficiency and reduce environmental impact. Similarly, programs like the Blue Economy Matching Grants, if you follow our work, and I urge all of you to sign up on the OECS website to receive fortnightly updates on what is happening across the OECS, you will learn about the Blue Economy Matching Grants. Up to $200,000 in grants to people in the blue economy, fisher folk, anybody doing creative stuff in the blue economy to be supported. These are grant funds. So, and we had to go twice to market in advertising this. So, we need to get the word out about these opportunities. But initiatives like that which support MSMEs can empower local entrepreneurs to thrive in the tourism sector. These initiatives are examples of how we can build a tourism industry that is not only economically vibrant, but also environmentally and socially responsible. Colleagues, the challenges before us are immense, but they are not insurmountable. By committing to collaboration, innovation, and sustainability, we can transform these challenges into opportunities for growth and resilience. Let this meeting serve as a catalyst for action. Let us align our 2025 priorities, bearing in mind the volatilities of this time, endorse the critical policies before us, and take tangible steps. This is not document stuff, tangible steps towards creating a tourism sector that uplifts our communities, protects our environment, and secures our region's future. Together, we can ensure that Caribbean tourism, and the OECS tourism in particular, remains a beacon of excellence, resilience, and sustainability for generations to come. Thank you, and I look forward to productive discussions today.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jules. Now, all of us in the Caribbean and in the small island developing states will be paying attention to the discussions around the potential impact of the USA's new trade, economic, and immigration policies and the OECS and the implications for the tourism sector. This is in addition to all the other challenges and factors which were mentioned by Dr. Didicus in his presentation here this morning. At this time, I would like to invite to address us Senator the Honorable Adrian Thomas, Minister for Tourism, Creative Economy and Culture, Grenada, and Chairman of the OECS Council of Ministers. Please welcome him.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I was looking for the pan man. Gone? He has to learn to play blessings, you know. Oh, his dad is there. So Daddy has to learn to play blessings, right? Yeah. Good morning, everybody. Honorable Ministers of the OECS, Honorable Ministers of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Permanent Secretaries and our hard-working technicians, distinguished guests, the media, ladies and gentlemen, comrades all. First of all, before I start, I would like to welcome my good friend from Anguilla. I think this is your first meeting with Ministers of Tourism, for tourism? No? This time around. Oh, you were there before? Okay, well, congratulations and welcome again. This significant gathering of ministers for Council of Tourism is an honor to stand before you today as we convene to deal with issues that have potentially significant impact on our people, their lives and their livelihoods. And more importantly, to discuss and approve the sustainable tourism policy, an essential step towards a more responsible, resilient, and inclusive tourism sector. Ladies and gentlemen, tourism is undoubtedly one of the most powerful drivers of economic growth, job creation, and cultural exchange. It contributes significantly to our national economies, supports local communities, and showcases our rich culture and natural heritage to the world. However, we must acknowledge that the rapid expansion of tourism has always brought challenges: environmental degradation, over-tourism, loss of cultural identity, and increased pressure on local resources. Our responsibility today is not only to address these challenges, but to set a clear and sustainable pathway, a path that balances economic prosperity with environmental conservation, cultural preservation, and social well-being. This meeting marks a pivotal moment in our collective effort to shape a sustainable future for tourism, one that ensures long-term benefits for our people, our environment, and future generations. Brothers and sisters, I sincerely believe that there is an urgent need for a well-defined and actionable sustainable tourism policy that cannot be overestimated. The global tourism industry is undertaking rapid transformation due to climate change, technological advancements, evolving travelers' preferences, and global economic shifts. Countries that proactively adopt these changes will not only safeguard the tourism sector, but also emerge as leaders in sustainable and responsible tourism. Brothers and sisters, comrades, the OECS cannot afford to be left behind. We cannot afford to fail our people, people that depend on us to guide them on the road to prosperity that is sustainable. Our policy must reflect a vision that aligns with international best practices, particularly the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. By integrating sustainability into the core of our tourism strategies, we will get the following results. 1, protect our natural and cultural heritage, and this can be achieved by implementing conservation efforts, enforcing responsible tourism practices, and ensuring that tourism revenues directly benefit heritage sites and local communities. Number 2, promote economic inclusivity by encouraging community-based tourism, supporting small and medium enterprises, and ensuring that tourism revenue is equitably distributed. Number 3, enhance environmental sustainability. We must make every effort to reduce tourism carbon footprints, promoting eco-friendly infrastructure, and adopting policies that encourage responsible consumption and waste management. The 4th strategy is to strengthen resilience and crisis preparedness by developing strategies to mitigate the impact of climate change, pandemics like COVID-19, and other disruptions to the tourism sector, such as the ongoing wars in the world today. Not only the military invasions on sovereign states, but the unjustifiable trade wars that is now waged by the great and mighty United States of America. I hope we will find some time to discuss what I call the bullying of our Caribbean governments to abandon our brothers and sisters in Cuba. We must all be prepared to give up our US visa in solidarity with the Cuban people. And we must never fail to stand in solidarity with the people of Venezuela. And finally, number 5, we must foster regional and international cooperation by strengthening partnerships with regional and global stakeholders to enhance knowledge sharing, investment, innovation in sustainable tourism. The Afrexim Bank comes to mind. Comrades, as we deliberate on sustainable tourism policy today, I urge us to focus on the following key areas. The first, the legislation and regulations by establishing clear legal framework that enforce sustainable standards in tourism development, investment, and operations. Secondly, we must ensure that there are investments in green and smart tourism by encouraging ecotourism projects, promoting digitalization, and integrating smart technologies to improve efficiency and sustainability in the tourism sector. The need for capacity building and education must be a top priority, and this can be achieved by strengthening training programs for tourism professionals, businesses, and local communities to ensure a deep understanding of sustainable practices. Comrades, the development of sustainable infrastructure is crucial, and we have a responsibility to ensure that such development prioritizes environmental sustainability, accessibility, and local communities must always be the beneficiaries. And last but not least, we must be committed to carry out the monitoring and evaluation exercises. We cannot escape the responsibility of implementing robust mechanisms to measure the impact of our policies, track our progress, and make the necessary adjustments to ensure effectiveness. Honorable ministers, technicians here today, and within the OECS, the task before us requires unity, determination, and forward-thinking leadership. The decisions we make here will shape the future of tourism in our respective countries and the region as a whole. The policy we are about to endorse is not just a document. It is a commitment to responsible governance, environmental stewardship, and economic resilience. By approving this policy, we are taking a bold step towards ensuring that our tourism sector strives sustainably, creating a lasting legacy for our people and our planet. Let us work together to make this vision a reality. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator, the Honorable Adrian Thomas. Let us put our hands together once more in appreciation for his presentation and all the others that we've heard this morning. And it is clearly evident from all the presentations that we've heard that it is time for us to move from just the talking and to actually start doing the work, to writing all of these things. At this time, I'd like to bring to do the vote of thanks Dr. Tamira Brown, the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Tourism, Civil Aviation, Sustainable Development, and Culture.
Honorable Carlos James, Minister of Tourism, Civil Aviation, Sustainable Development, and Culture. Senator, the Honorable Adrian Thomas, Minister for Tourism, Creative Economy and Culture of Grenada, and the Chairman of the OECS Council of Ministers. Visiting ministers for the member states of the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States and the respective delegations. His Excellency Dr. Didicus Jules, Director General of the OECS. His Excellency Alan Alexander, OECS Commissioner to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, other government officials and heads of units of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Chairperson of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Tourism Authority and the CEO, staff of the OECS Commission, Reigning Miss SVG, Zeta Stevens, representatives of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. An important part of any visitor experience is not simply the welcome that is extended at the start, but also the thank yous that we remember to say at the end. And I am here to ensure that the visitor experience this morning is second to none. I want to specifically thank all the OECS ministers and their delegations for coming to St. Vincent and the Grenadines for this very important meeting. As mentioned in the presentations, we have heard that there are critical deliberations given the geopolitical situation, given the climate vulnerabilities, and more. And we want to take the time to say, you didn't have to come because I am sure that your schedules are quite demanding, but you have placed a premium on the importance of the matters to be discussed, and we thank you. To the staff of the OECS Commission as well, one of the first persons that I interacted with in my new role was Miss Maria Fowell. And I want to say thank you so much to you and also to Mr. Richards and the staff of the OECS for really being so supportive in guiding the proceedings for today's meeting. We really appreciate you and we say thank you. Today's program, Dion John, as always, has done an excellent job. Dion, thank you so much for all that you do. I think by now we know that in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Dion is the jefe when it comes to chairing these proceedings, and we really are appreciative. Reverend Millett, your invocation this morning was timely and it spoke to everything that we need in guiding our tourism product. We really appreciate you and we thank you for coming. Ulrika Games, as mentioned by the OECS Commission already, I just want to say you really emphasized this morning the importance of cultural identity in tourism development, something that has the special flavor of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and everything that we hold dear. Minister James, we really appreciate you sharing the geopolitical précis and some important considerations for us going forward as we develop strategy for our tourism initiatives, as well as Dr. Jules for sharing the importance of climate resilience. We have heard this morning how St. Vincent and the Grenadines has been impacted tremendously by climatic events, and we are sure that for our development, we need to take this into consideration. Senator, the Honorable Adrian, I want to say thank you so much for making sure that the sustainable development policy and its importance is not lost on us. One of the things that came through for me is not just the importance of such a policy or such initiatives for the policymakers, but also for the policy shapers and every stakeholder. That is extremely important for us all. Thank you so much. Partners, stakeholders, industry representatives, we appreciate you being here, being at the table, being a part of the conversation, expressing your interest. And to the organizing team, I think we have the commitment of several offices that really is credible, and I want to say thank you to the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force. I want to say thank you to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Trade, and Consumer Affairs. I want to say thank you to the Agency of Public Information and to the Ministry of Health, Wellness, and the Environment. These are key line ministries and state agencies who really worked with our ministry to ensure that everything has been in place and executed excellently. We appreciate you and we look forward to working with you again in the future. Media representatives, VC3 is also here. We have some newspaper outlets. Thank you, because tourism isn't something we do behind closed doors. Tourism is, in fact, and it is true that it is everybody's business, and we appreciate you taking the message beyond these walls this morning to ensure that every Vincentians, persons in the diaspora, persons regionally and internationally can follow the conversations of today's proceedings. I want to say specifically to our attendees, thank you for being here. I want to remind us all, tourism is everyone's business. Live it, love it, embrace it. Thank you. Well, how could I forget our cultural ambassador, Mr. Saeed Bowman? And I am sure if he is still here, he would play blessings for us, Minister. But he is not here at this moment, and we must say really and truly thank you for always showing up and showing out, representing St. Vincent and the Grenadines well. We appreciate him tremendously. Thank you, everyone.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Brown. All that's left for me to do is to give two parting announcements. One, we'll have a family photo taken shortly just in front of the flags. And secondly, we would move right into the ministers' meeting. So thank you so much for attending. Have a great time in St. Vincent. Have a good day, everyone.